over to you, Libby.
Okay. So if any of you have seen our guiding principles, you'll understand that we have a number of them that we're building the new SMS and using them as a guide for us. The key one of those is obviously distinctively student-centred, but one of the other key ones in terms of what we're doing is one called adopt and adapt. What that means is that we're trying to adopt the Lucian Banner suite as close to out of the box as possible and adapting our business processes to leverage that. We're also trying to actively simplify, and we're also configuring the system and not customising it. So what that means is that whilst we go through this journey, we will be making some changes, and nomenclature changes are part of that. So the two systems, Banner and Callista, are quite substantially different in how they're structured, and we need to make some changes in the curriculum nomenclature changes to respond to that. Banner has a concept of a degree that we do not have in Callista, so that will allow us to have an overarching award or qualification that the student is pursuing. We also will be moving from the current term of course to program, and we'll be altering our the naming of our units to subject. Another of the changes that you'll find is that in terms of unit codes, they will now be subject codes. The coding standards will be quite different to what we have today. Callista uses that 6-digit number with a version number attached. Banner uses a combination of a subject and a course code, and that's what you can see on the screen at the moment. So we cannot accommodate the Callista unit code in Banner. So we've done quite a lot of work to work out the best way of doing the subject codes for our future. The first 4 characters will be mapped to the government field of education. The next number will be an indicator of the level of difficulty for the unit, and that is similar to what we're using in Callista at the moment, 1, 2, 3, etc. And the last 3 numbers are just a sequence, essentially the next number that comes off the roll as we create a new subject. There will not be a version number anymore. Banner works with effective dates rather than versioning. So we will have you'll have a subject code, and it will be driven by its effective from this date. These subject code changes have been through a number of reviews, including the steering committee. They've been to APCAC, etc. Another substantial change in the new state, which I'm calling Bannerland, so we're moving from Callista to Bannerland, is that in Callista we have a concept of a unit set, which is broadly just a set of units. And we can label them in a bunch of different ways. And on the left-hand side of this screen, you'll see those different ones that we're using quite a bit at the moment. Inside Banner, we only have the option of a major, a minor, and a concentration. So our curriculum team has done a lot of analysis, and we've done a lot of work to transform our current curriculum into these 3 new business concepts. Largely, what we're currently calling a key program, a major or a specialisation will become a major. A sub-major becomes a minor, which is obviously a very simple change. And a concentration is essentially a focus of study within a major. So a major within a key program, a sub-major within a key program, or a sub-major that resides within a major will all become concentrations.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions?
So if you send through some chats, we can go.
I've got one. When will the course codes be integrated to some other systems, to other systems?
Okay, so the course codes inside of the Lucian suite, we will be transforming them via data migration from Callista to Banner using a bunch of different attributes inside Callista to drive that. We're also, at the moment, we have a dedicated project manager who is looking at all the impacts that these nomenclature changes, including the subject changes, will make. So he's out there talking to a lot of our stakeholders at the moment to understand what impact it is on those systems, be that the Blackboard views sites, be it InPlace, be it Allocate Plus, Syllabus Plus, all of those places. So we're planning those at the moment, talking to those key stakeholders, And as we go through that planning process and things get more stable, we'll be able to do some reporting around that at future roadshows.
Who's the project manager working on that?
It's Damien Fossey.
Another question, that current unit codes will still be visible, or are we changing the entire labelling system for units and subjects?
We are working through how we will do that for the transition. Initially, we'll be looking at trying to surface those two codings side by side so that people will get used to what looks like now or what will come in the future. We're also doing some work internally to understand how we will then map those things into our government reporting. That's obviously a very important thing. And also we need to be working through how that happens in terms of transcripts and AHEGs and those sorts of things. So again, we're planning on that, but in terms of presenting stuff to students and staff at Go Live, we'll be surfacing them side by side for the transition period.
So a previous question that we've had is around, if there's no version number, what happens when updates are made to a subject?
Okay, so there's a bunch of different ways we'll be managing that, but we would actually be applying an end date for that, and then having another. It's like a timeline. Maybe Rob, you can give them your timeline analogy for that.
There's not that actual dissimilar to version numbers, except we don't actually put a number on it. All versions had a start and end date anyway. So just think of the banner version as having a start and end date, a term code effective. And it's on a timeline. So if a student is studying, say, a subject in 2018-30, which is autumn in 2018, and that subject has a term code effective of 2017-30, would mean they were doing that version. If a new version came in 2019-30, the student would still be in the timeline at 2018-30, in between those two start periods. So that's the version the student would be on. Also works with the program. Program versions also have start and end dates. So when a student is studying, say a student starts in 2015, and a program is updated in 2018, there would be a term code effective in it for the program, but the student's term code would be 15, which would be before, so it would get the previous one. So it just leaves me where that code for the student lives on that timeline, and they're between the start and end dates of these banner versions.
So essentially, the system will use these dates to look at what the business rules and attributes are of the course or of the subject or program at a point in time, and where the student has started that. So where they fall between those two dates, the rules and attributes that applied will apply to those. As there's a change, there'll be a change of date and a new set of effective dates, and a new set of rules would apply to the students that start in that period.
That's where the audit comes in. In Banner, there's a module called Degree Works, where a student can actually do an audit and see how they're going with their progression. And that audit looks at the version of the Banner version, shouldn't use that word, of the program and the rules that apply to that version. And the student is assessed on those rules. So it will work just the same as Callista to the end user, but in this case, the student can really see where they're travelling. The other beauty of that is that staff members can actually log on and see an audit for the student as well. Also, that audit will tell a student if they're going off track. So if they're starting to take subjects that have no relevance to their program, it'll pop up a warning. So hopefully it'll tidy up lots of things for the students, make it simpler for them.
Okay.
Okay, so when will these changes take place?
They'll take place at the Go Live date, which currently is September 2020.